So at the beginning, you're like, oh, I only have 20 people. Well, do that every week. And at the end of the year, you can have 2 or 3,000 people. And then you start growing your list. Maybe you trade your list with somebody else. And that's how you keep growing and expanding it.
Mic check. I'm good.
Mic check. Mic check.
You can read about success all day long, but if you don't put in the work, the mindset, execution, and the hustle behind your vision, it just remains a dream.
When everything goes wrong, you have to take all the responsibility.
We uncover what high-level entrepreneurs, business owners do to rise up from hustling daily.
So do what you feel passionate about. Take chances.
The world becomes your library to help you to become better at your craft.
Join me as I share with you actionable tips to help you grow your business, learn skills, and help you level up in your self-development journey.
Your number one spot for business and personal growth is the Online Hustlers Podcast with your host, Esteban Andrade.
Every day I'm hustling.
Welcome to the Online Hustlers Podcast. In this episode, I'm going to be covering mastering nationwide dispositions with our very special guest, David Olds. David Olds, he is a real estate investor, wholesaler, and he also coaches. He has his own students that coaches nationwide dispositions. And you can find him on Instagram. I believe, David, where we can find you on Instagram?
It's David Olds, REI. Pretty
David Olds,
actually, all my
REI. There you go. Everything that I'm asking for you guys, from you guys at this point is just for you to share this content, share this post, share this podcast episode to your colleagues, to whoever is watching, listening to this. I want to make sure that everyone gets as much value as possible. We're covering today the art of converting deals in the other side of the spectrum. So we talk about acquisitions a lot. We talk about marketing and everything, but at the end of the day, it's also both end sales. So how do you actually market a property once you have it under contract, what's in there, in a nationwide level? So that's why David Olds comes in here as an expert in the topic. And we're going to be able to dive in. Like I said, you guys, look, in these episodes, I'm going to try to scratch the nitty gritty value that we can provide for every single one of you guys. So my job is to uncover all the secrets, all these tips that we can give you, because this guest is about to drop bombs. So David, how are you, my man?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you so much for having me on. I love that intro. That really says everything to set the stage for being a successful investor. So that was awesome. I enjoyed that.
Thanks, man. So I just want to make sure that people get to know you a little bit more, because there's so many real estate investors and so many wholesalers, and even so many education gurus or coaches or things like that. Yeah. And I want to make sure that you're seen today as that person that has found a niche, and that niche is disposition. So tell me more about you. When did you start diving into the dispositions nationwide? And I guess your story, your quick story about being an investor wholesaler nationwide.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been an investor for a long time. I'm like one of those guys that's been around forever. Really quick, my wife and I bought our first house back in 2003 in Orlando in Central Florida. And, back then, it looked kind of like now, right? The market was crazy. It was on fire. And, my first house, I was going to closing. And after we came out, I talked to my realtor and I said, I don't understand. Why did we buy this from Wells Fargo? She's like, oh, dummy, it was a foreclosure. I'm like, well, I didn't know. So, we bought our first house. We lived in it. We fixed it up. And I had to transfer for work. I wanted to get closer to work. So I decided to sell it. And as we're going to closing with the same realtor, she's like, oh, by the way, this $54,000 or whatever you're going to make, it's tax-free. And I'm like, what? How is it tax-free? And she explained homestead. We've lived in it for 2 years. So that was kind of how we got started. We bought a house, we lived in it, we flipped it. And then I'm like, wow, this is really cool. We should learn some more about this. And like almost every investor, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, which really catapulted me. But yeah, so we started investing in the mid 2000s. My wife and I, we both had jobs. We had regular, 9 to 5 jobs in the Orlando area. She worked for a big construction company, and I worked for 84 Lumber and Pro Build, that kind of thing, selling building materials. So kind of had a little bit of that background because it's what we did in our 9 to 5. But that was great. We were flipping houses and doing really well until 2007, 8, 9 came along, and the world just kind of collapsed and came to a stop, especially in Florida. I mean, it really like just fell off the side of a cliff. I remember we bought our last house in Florida. It was a probate deal, and I think we bought it in let me see. So like June of 2008. I had to count backwards a little bit. Lived in it. We were fixing it up. January came around. Anyways, when we bought that house, a house 1 block over, 2 blocks down, we bought it for 99, and a house that sold for 214. So I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. Well, 6 months later, really to make it quick, the realtor came in and she's like, yeah, we can probably get you like 145. I'm like, wait a minute, 6 months ago, 214. How did that happen? And what it was just the market had just collapsed so quickly. And that was going to be the last. I keep kicking the camera. That was going to be the last house that we did. And we had already known we were going to relocate to another market where it was going to be. We had picked another market for real estate, so we knew we were moving to Chattanooga. So that was going to be our last big pop. It was going to be a nice rehab deal, and it didn't happen the way that we thought. So, kind of to answer your question, we came to Chattanooga, and our intention was, like every investor, we were going to buy multifamily, right? Everybody always wants to level up. If you're doing single families, you want to be doing duplexes and quads people, they want to be doing 20 units. Everybody's trying to always ramp up their business. So we came here and we started doing a bunch of marketing and doing those types of things. And if anybody wasn't around in 2009, buying big multifamilies is a great idea, except that the banks weren't lending any money. So, like they were busy taking back properties, not lending out money on new properties. So we pivoted a little bit. I knew of wholesaling. I had tried it a little bit in the Orlando market and didn't really stick, but I was making a bunch of money from rehab, so I wasn't super concerned about it. But now the market's terrible. We're in Chattanooga. We've got to do something, and we just really we dove all in because like our jobs are gone. My wife got laid off. My job was pretty much non-existent. So we came here all for real estate, and we had no money. We started with like $5,000 in our bank account, great credit and all that. But again, nobody's lending money. 2009, there weren't even hard money lenders in Tennessee back then. So yeah, we just really did that kind of old school bootstrap marketing, driving for dollars, bandit signs, all that type of stuff. And exact opposite of where we are in today's market. Very easy to go out and find a house. But what was difficult was finding somebody to buy those houses. So that's where we started to get really good at dispositions and moving the properties just as quickly as possible. Because also Chattanooga, different from Tampa, Orlando, Jacksonville, Miami, where it's a very sophisticated investor market. Like back then in the 2000s, everybody knew what a wholesale assignment fee was. Boom, 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 no problem. We come to Chattanooga with its 150,000 people, they've never seen an assignment. Like buyers had no idea what that even meant. So we had to find some ways to kind of repackage that and remarket our deals so that they could understand it and we could do more deals. So that was a little bit of a challenge that we had to overcome as well. So that's really how we started. I mean, in our wholesale business, we got good because we worked really hard, but we definitely had to attack dispositions from a different angle and get really good at marketing.
Yeah, I think right now you have like a team, and most of them are women. I think so. I think I saw your picture. Most of them are women that are leading your pack. Is that right?
It is. I get a lot of comments about that because I speak all over the country and I travel and I've got friends, and it's always like, "Oh, you're the guy with all those girls." I'm like, "Yeah." Like, I'll be honest with you, I don't hire any of them. They hire themselves, and even the girls are like, "When are you going to get us a dude?" I'm like, "Oh, listen, we put out those Indeed ads and we get what we get." And just for some reason in our market, we get very few men or qualified. I do have one. His name's Andy. He was a top salesman at BMW for like
You have to
years.
you have to tell the truth. You have everything to attract the women. You have everything.
Yeah, it's all me.
You have it all. So
It's my wife who sits in the office next door to me. But no, we have an interesting hiring process. I actually have my assistant go through Indeed and pre-screen people. And then when we hire, we actually do it through a 3-step hiring process. So first you come in, and if I'm available, you'll talk to me and my operations manager. Second, if I'm not, it's her and somebody else. Second interview is maybe with her and one of our department heads. And then the third interview, we actually send them out for coffee with we randomly pick 2 employees and we send them out for coffee at Starbucks. And what I tell them is this: hey, we all work here a lot. We're very protective of our culture. So we have a no asshole policy. Like, we don't hire anybody that's a pain in the butt. We just don't want to deal with that. And so anyways, they go out for coffee and I tell them, look, this is your opportunity to ask them, hey, was that guy lying? What's it really like to work here? Because making a change, if you're, going from one job to another, or if you're embarking on a new career, like, that's important stuff. You want to know that. Also, on the flip side, every one of my employees has been on the other side of that table, right? So they are very aware of what they are looking for, because they're going to work with this person probably more than me. And so they're very protective of each other and the company. So they will come back and tell me, I already know the person can or can't do the job, at least from what they've said. They'll give me kind of thumbs up, thumbs down. And I'll tell you, every time they've told me not to hire somebody, and I have, it's been a mistake. So they're sort of that last screening process to determine if somebody's going to be a good fit for our culture.
I think one of the biggest struggles when people need to scale and really want to scale anything, any type of operations and business, is just figuring out the people process, like intaking people, intaking your own. These are your own clients, basically. I mean, these are basically your family that you're growing. There's helping you take it to other levels where you are delegating and you're actually becoming a CEO, and then you're actually, probably by hiring the right people, you might just go onto the board of directors and you get set in the back and be able to enjoy your fruits and labors without being an operator.
Right? Yeah, for sure. And I don't know that in a wholesaling business you can ever just completely step away. We have a really great structure. I've got an amazing director of sales and operation, another girl that's just keeps me out of so much trouble and keeps me on track. Narissa, she handles all of our marketing and virtual assistants. But understanding how to set up your company is really important. And we relaunched our company. We took it to zero back in July of this past year and completely relaunched it. And before I did that, I talked to a lot of my friends who are nationwide wholesalers that run these big, $8 and $10 million companies, and sort of talked to them all. And I said, hey, your company's awesome, Nick Perry, you're amazing. But if you could look at your company, what thing would you change? So I talked to a bunch of them, and different schools of thought on how to pay people. Some people are on I want to be commission only. Other people are on salary. And what we ended up with is a little bit of a blended system where we give them a small salary and then also commission. So that we, I don't want anybody to starve, right? It's taking 30 days, 31 days to close a wholesale deal right now. So it's tough to ask people to come in and work for you for free for those 30 days. People have lives and kids and dogs and mortgages and rent and that type of stuff.
100%. So right now you said that you had in July you had to go back to ground zero, and but right now how many people are in your team? How many of these women are, and how many more apart from them?
Let me do a quick count. I have 8 people in just my wholesaling business and 2 VAs right now. And of them, all but one of them are women. Just the one guy on acquisitions. So
these are all local, all right? Except for 2 VAs.
Yeah,
is that right?
Yeah. I have one out of Venezuela, and she does all of my texting every day. And there are 3 VAs. Sorry, very sorry. So two of them that are texting, and they're just all day on our texting platform and, answering, basic pre-screening type questions. And then I've got one that I just hired who's amazing. He came as a referral and he is out of the Philippines and his English as good as yours. It's awesome. And I think he did like 9 years with Blue Cross Shield. I mean, he's just fantastic. And we brought him in as a junior acquisitions agent. So we're going to get him trained in our system, and then hopefully we can bump him up to full acquisitions. So yeah, which is a shift for me. For the 20 years that I've been an investor, I've always been, I want people in house because I like that feeling that around the campfire, right? I can bring everybody into a circle and go, hey, okay, here's what we got to do. We got a little problem. I need to shift you and you and you off of these things, and let's do this and do that. Because I can sort of reposition them and retarget the direction that we're going in on a day if we need to, right? If maybe I'm having a problem with a wholesale deal, I can bring the acquisitions person over and go, hey, in fact, we're having this issue right now. We've got a $24,000 assignment fee that I was just talking to somebody about, and seller, we haven't heard from the seller in a couple of days. So like, you got to get hold of the seller. We talk to our transaction coordinators. You got to do this, the buyer, So I just like that ability to bring everybody together. But it's so hard to hire right now. There's just a lack of just bodies out there in the workforce who are qualified and looking for work. And this is new for me. Like we found that hiring virtual assistants can fill that gap for us, and we can pay them really good. They're really happy, and we can get it done at a little bit of a discount. So that's helping us scale out, and we've got some big plans for adding VAs this year.
Okay, that's awesome. So let's talk about that juicy thing that we really wanna listen. Let's talk about that nationwide dispo. At what point did you actually start knowing that, hey, I'm actually very good at this? Like, how do you find out that you're starting to be really good at the nationwide dispo?
Yeah. Well, I wasn't at first. I can tell you, I have found every way to screw it up possible. I've lost a bunch of money. So what happened was we came to Chattanooga, 2009. We did like almost 40 deals in our first 6 months. We did a lot because we were out there just hustling like maniacs, working 18 hours a day. So my philosophy has always been for people, work in your home market first, right? Because it's easier if there's a conundrum, right? The way I explain it to people is like, if you ever played sports, like in high school and football or wrestling or something, right? You could muscle your way through something, right? You didn't have to have the best technique, but you could make stuff happen. Well, wholesaling in your own town is like that. You got a seller who's not cooperating, you can run to the house. You got a buyer who you need to get in, you can run to the house. You can there are just things you can do in a market near your house that you can't always do virtual as easy, right? So being virtual, you have to have that technique. You have to have a plan. You have to understand the processes, and you have to really refine that so that you can scale it and do those things over and over and over again, right? So if you're going to be virtual, you have to have a plan. How am I going to find somebody to go take pictures and video for me? Okay, how am I going to get this lockbox on the property? How am I going to, how am I going to get somebody over there so that my buyer isn't talking to my seller, right? So you just have to have those processes and things in place. So anyways, Chattanooga, we're killing it. We're doing amazing. It's me and my wife, and I'd had a couple partners over time. And I had this other guy, young college kid. He was like amazing. He wanted to learn real estate, and I kept blowing him off. And I'd say, "Oh, go do this. Go make a list of like 500 houses." Freaking kid would come back. His name is Justin Huggins. He's amazing. A great investor now, owns a title company, but he would come back and do it. I'm like, kid, go away. Go put out these signs for me. He would come back after he put in all the signs. So, anyways, he wanted to do some wholesaling stuff, so I took him on in acquisitions, and he was a partner in our business. And then I had a fourth person, so it's me, my wife, Justin. Now another one guy comes in who's really smart and says, "Hey, I want to be a partner. I want to do some stuff with you. I want to do wholesaling." I'm like, "Well, Chattanooga's not that big of a town, and our average assignment fee at the time was only like $8,000 or $9,000." And I'm like, 9,000 split 4 ways. That's not too good. So that was at the point where we decided, well, let's go to another market. I don't really like that, but we need to expand out because we need to do more deals, right? Or we needed more volume, right? Let's say that we needed more income. So, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I know that it's easier to do 20 deals in 2 markets than 20 deals in 1, right? So that was the idea. Like, okay, we're in Chattanooga, Birmingham. Let's go to Birmingham. It's close. If there's a catastrophe, we can drive there. We can figure it out. So that's how we started. And this is before cold calling and everything took off. So we just started with postcards. And then we're like, oh, well, this is doing good. We're doing a couple deals. Let's go to another market, St. Louis. And, both of those markets ended up blowing up for a variety of reasons. We didn't know the market. We didn't know how to do market research for cash buyers. We didn't understand what areas, how to pick an area to work out of. So lots of mistakes there. But ultimately, that was the thing that drove me to have to go virtual, was having 4 partners in the business at the time. I just couldn't do enough deals for everybody to make 6 figures in Chattanooga.
Well, in order for you to start getting way more deals, and at the same time, maybe not limiting yourself to one geographic area.
Yeah.
In that time, it made sense for you to go on different states, different counties, different cities.
Yeah.
Is that right?
100%.
Okay. So
yeah, and real quick. We went to 2 and we jacked it up as bad as it possibly could. We I've done some presentations before. We have what's called a whiteboard, graveyard, where we've mapped out over the years, this is how our business is going to work. This is how virtual wholesaling is going to work for us this year. And then we go back and cross that out. Okay, let's figure this out. So we were constantly tweaking it over time, and it's entertaining a little bit. I'll go back and I'll look at those things from 4 years ago, and we were going to be on this JV model, and it was going to be fantastic. And we were going to be in 10 markets with 10 JV partners, and we're going to be doing so much money. Order the jet now. And, we just learned all those things that don't work. So,
okay. So at what point did you start really streamlining those systems before you had, let's say, for example, softwares that would help you with dispositions, such as Investor Lift?
Yeah.
So what were those systems that you actually created in order to quickly market a property and sell that property to buyers? What were those things that you had to create?
Yeah. So great question. Thank you. So in the beginning, before even up to the point when it was just me and Justin and my wife, he was doing acquisitions, I was doing dispositions, and we just did it, right? I just did it because it was all in my head, and I was the guy who was doing it, and so I knew. We were in Chattanooga, I would go over and I would take pictures and take a video, and I would go upload it to YouTube, and I would use Constant Contact and I would send it out. And that was fine, right? I was selling deals and it was in my head. And a lot of us, especially entrepreneurs, when you started like that and you've run your business for a little bit, you get unconsciously competent in that it's in your head and you just do it and you don't really know why. You just do it, right? Buyers call in and you talk to them and you don't realize what you're doing. So when I realized that we had an issue, was I brought in one girl and I trained her myself, and she was pretty good. And then I brought in 2 more dispositions agents, and then we're running. I did a little bit of training for them. I thought I was telling them what they needed to know, and a couple months in, it would get frustrating because I would go out to where they're at, and I'm like, girls, we have all these properties. Why aren't we selling them? What are we doing? Oh, we did this, we did this, we did this. And we'd go through all the properties. I'm like, my God, we have 10 things that we should be doing every single day, and we're doing 6 of them. And God darn it, we're never even doing the same 6. We're just all over the map. So at this point, I was like, okay, we need a checklist, right? It doesn't have to be anything super complicated. We need a checklist of the things that we're supposed to be doing every day and who's going to be responsible for those things, right? Okay, we're going to put it on Facebook. We're going to send an email. We're going to Forrest Gump, simple stuff, but I'm telling you, we all get busy in our business and we just forget to do the basics. And that's one thing that our company is really great at. We kill it on the basics. Simple is scalable. I don't ask them to stand on their head and, juggle balls with their, beach balls with their feet. We do the basics and we do it just better than anybody else. And we have a checklist and everybody knows exactly what they're responsible for. So that's kind of at the beginning, I just took what I was doing in my head and had to systematize it, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely. So you created some sort of SOP in order to put down the steps,
and
post property on Facebook.
Time. Yeah, exactly.
Post a property on Facebook.
And then it evolves to, hey, now there are 3 different ways, 3 kind of different versions of what we post. Here's where we post. Here's where we don't post. So over time, we've taken that and just refined it, adding some things like pre-launch. We pre-launch properties now while we're waiting for pictures to come in, because what we're trying to do is see how much interest there is out there on that property, even before we decide to put a selling price on it. Very simple stuff. We will, because when you're virtual wholesaling, Dispositions gets the contract in, and then they're like, okay, we need pictures and video, right? So we have a process that we go through, but sometimes that takes 2 days. Sometimes it takes 6 days. It depends. Every area of the country is different. Sometimes it's easy to get into a house because it's vacant. Sometimes there are tenants. Sometimes tenants have COVID, right? So there are things. There are things that come up.
For nationwide, like you're saying that you still ask for the pictures. Is this pictures coming from direct the homeowner, or they're coming from someone that is in the area, like that is helping you?
Yeah, no, great question. So our acquisitions team will always ask the seller for some pictures, right? Because on acquisitions, we're trying to get the property as low as we can. So we'll anchor them pretty low. Hey, based on what I'm seeing, here's the price range that I'm at on your house. I can't do that. So our acquisitions people are trained to go, okay, Mrs. Smith, well, let me do this. Do you have a phone, a camera? Yeah, great. Can you go and take a couple pictures of each room for me? Hold the phone sideways. Just kind of stand back in the corner so let me just see what we're looking at. Maybe I'm comparing your house with something that's not as nice as yours. But if you could shoot those pictures over to me, let me get with my boss and let me see if I can get this number up some, right? So we'll at least get some preliminary pictures from them. I've never seen, I want to say that, maybe once or twice. A homeowner is almost never going to give you the pictures that you need to do your marketing. But what it does on acquisition side to kind of switch over to that is it at least tells us what we're looking at, right? Is it better than we thought? Is it worse than we thought? It just makes us feel more comfortable about our offer. Because again, there's a difference between when I was here in Chattanooga, I would go out to the house and I could stand there, right? I could see like, oh, the floors are kind of leaning, there's cracks in the wall, right? If you're just talking to somebody over the phone, people are like, yeah, everything is great. It's awesome. Those tenants are perfect. The house is very clean, right? You don't always know. So anyways, so we will try to answer your question. We will try to get some pictures up front, but we will also say to them at the end, hey, Mrs. Smith, thank you for signing the contract. Here's our next step. We're going to send our employee that works in that area over there to just run through, take a quick video and pictures for us. We'll take those pictures. We'll send them over to our contractor, and they can try to do as much of the quoting as they can, because we don't want to send 100 people over there and disturb you. We will have to get in there probably once or twice before closing, because for us, we want to make sure as soon as we close, we're ready to go. Because time is money. We don't want to have a property sitting empty for 2 or 3 weeks while we start ordering stuff. So does that make sense? Of course it does, right? So that's how we sort of set that stage for pictures and for sending our contractors or investor partners over there. That was a lot in 2 minutes, I think, but hopefully I answered your question.
No, that's good. So are you using the same pictures for marketing your property to the buyers? The same pictures they're asking?
So to go back to where we started with the pre-launch. So while we're waiting to get those pictures and video in from, the person that we find on Craigslist or Facebook or something like that, what we'll do is we'll get the property uploaded onto our website, right? If we don't have a front picture, let's say we have no pictures, we can go to Google Street View and grab a front picture, right? Back out so you don't see the little, the arrows and stuff. Like, we don't want to look like complete bozos, but we want a decent picture of the front. If you can't get that, at least an overhead satellite view. So we'll get a picture of the front, and then we'll go to PropStream or Batch or whoever you want to use these days, and we'll just pull the basic information: 2-bedroom, 1 bath, 1,123 square foot. Here are the taxes. Here's the size of the lot. And then any information that the seller gave us. Oh, it's a tenant, month-to-month lease, or long-term lease, whatever it is. So we'll preload all the basics, like all the stuff that we know for sure is going to be in there. And we'll start posting it. We'll go to, let's say it's in Chicago. We'll find a Chicago real estate group and say, hey investors, I've got a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath coming up in, Padoki area, whatever. I don't know, whatever area of Chicago. Super cheap, vacant, ready to be rehabbed, 40,000 in equity. Who's interested? So just a basic kind of post like that. And we're just looking to see like, hey, are we getting comments? And our girls will put, hey, call me, get on the VIP list, something like that, trying to generate interest. So while we're waiting for our pictures, now we can start to get a feel for, holy smokes, Brooke posted that and we got 42 comments in a day. Well, now I know instead of 20, I might push that up to 30, 35, because I know it's going to be a hot area. If we post that and get 2 comments, I'll be like, maybe we better put 15 on this one and see if we can just blow it out real quick, right? So we just use that as a little thermometer to gauge the market.
So you're saying, when you're saying comments, is it going to be an actual Facebook ad, or is it going to be like a Facebook Marketplace?
Yeah, never. I don't ever market in Facebook Marketplace unless it's someplace super rural, right? And there's no investor groups. No, we want to be in the investor groups, right? And not like cash investors nationwide. Like that's filled with wholesalers. That's not a great place. You're not getting any bang for your buck there. We'll throw it on Craigslist. We'll find local real estate groups for that area. So let's say you go to Ohio. I use that all the time. Great, like a lot. There's Cincinnati investors, there's state of Ohio. We'll go into all of those and we'll post that information. I'm never posting the address. I'll try not to even post the price we think we're going to sell it at. Just, hey, tons of equity, great deal. Who's looking for a deal? That a little bit vague, right? Because as we talk to all those people, we always want to push them to call us, not send a text. Nobody here is ever going to sell a property to somebody cold over a text. It's a 1 in 100 kind of deal. You got to jump those people out of text and SMS over to a phone call just as quick as you can. And then when you're talking to them, even if they say, oh, I'm not really interested in that area. Oh, no problem. What are you interested in? Because I get a lot of properties in this area. Like, what is your buying criteria, right? Because again, you should always be building your list, your buyer's list, right? You took time and energy to make that post and take that call. Get that person's name, phone number, email, and what they're looking for. Put them into your database so that next time you have a deal, you can jump to the head of the line quicker. And if you're starting out new, I remember when I started, I can still find it every so often. I had an Excel sheet, name, phone number, email, and I had this long, whatever box, and I would, put in what they were looking for. So at the beginning, you're like, oh, I only have 20 people. Well, do that every week. And at the end of the year, you can have 2,000 or 3,000 people. And then you start growing your list. Maybe you trade your list with somebody else. And that's how you keep growing and expanding it.
So how are you right now growing your list? Or are you not growing your list? You have enough big list. How are you guys doing?
We're always growing our list. So we do 2 types of postings. Our Dispo teams know, again, I have a director for marketing. So she's in charge of what we call global list building, right? I don't have a better name for it. So there's kind of our global list building, like we're just building our list, and then we're building property specific lists. So, and everybody always goes, of course they go into the same database. So like a global list would be like, hey, Nationwide Property Liquidators, we have incredible off-market deals in Cincinnati. Click here to see them, right? So now we're just running them through a little squeeze page or on Investor Lift. They'll go there, but they can't really see any information until they click and become a member, right? So we're always building that way. And then same thing, then different types of posts are very property specific. 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-story house, gated subdivision, tons of equity, who's interested? Those types of things. So that's really a little bit more specific, where we're trying to drive that to a person so we can get them on the phone. The other ones we're just dumping. It's a little bit of brand awareness and just overall list building. So yeah, always building your list. Don't ever stop building your list, because here's what's going to happen. You may think, and the biggest nonsense I've ever heard is, oh, if you find 5 buyers in a market, you're good. No, if you find 5 buyers in a market and you stop there, you become their employee, right? Because they're going to tell you, oh, I'm only paying $2,000 for wholesale deals. And listen, take what you can get, but always be building that list, because you want to have as much competition as you possibly can. And here's the thing, people come in and out of markets all the time, right? So let's say you've got those 5 guys who do, or gals, whatever, companies that buy a lot for you. Well, listen, none of us should be narcissistic enough to think that we are the only people in town that you can get a deal from, right? People can buy from everybody. There are people that one-hit wonders that come out of the gate and just they pop a great deal, right? So even in Chattanooga, where we're really strong, they buy from other people. So the reason I say that is because I may be selling to Jurgen over here, and Jurgen may have bought 2 properties from my buddy the other day, and he's not looking for a property today. So if I'm depending on him to be one of my 5 buyers, that's a bad strategy, right? Also, people are always coming in and out of markets, right? So there may be somebody who came from California who just bought a property like 2 weeks ago, and now he wants more. but he wouldn't have been on my list 3 months ago because I wouldn't have known he was there, right? So every time we have a property, we're always pulling a new list to see who's in the market. I want to know.
Makes sense. So right now, to build lists, would you say that you want to capture them with just a single form and then it goes to your database in the back, or is it's just a manual process that you're still doing, like, or is it better like to just put them?
Yeah, we do both.
Investor
So
list?
we use a single. I'm sorry, we use a single opt-in, right? I'm not on the double opt-in. I hate that, right? Because I'm on everybody's list. I want to see everybody's marketing because I'm always looking for trends. So if I go to your site and I'll give you my name and phone number and email, and then the next page is like 14 questions with drop-down menus, I'm out. Like I'm done. And most buyers are out. And some people go like, well, then I know they're really serious. I'm like, maybe. But you're not going to get my stuff because I'm not going to do that. I'm as serious a buyer as there is. Because in fact, today I'm looking at a rehab deal this afternoon that we're going to pick up. So, but what we do is somebody signs up for our website, they opt in, whatever it is. Our girls get a notification. They jump on the phone with that person immediately. Hey, Bob, I just saw that you were on our site, Nationwide Property Liquidators, and submitted your information. Hey, I'm Brooke. Is there anything that you're looking for in particular? What can I help you find? What's your investing goals this year? So now we jump right into let's interview this person. Let's get their info and let's see what I can help them with. So that's
out of everyone that you actually capture from these forums and everything, what percentage of them are actually people that are qualified and not only serious buyers, but people that are qualified to actually purchase these deals?
I mean, it's a low number, right? So that's a really loaded question. I have 3.2 million people on our buyers list, and we'll sell 250 deals this year. So obviously the percentages are small. So because here's the thing, there's a lot of buyers, right? Buyers, they all have their own criteria, their own thing that they want. So I may get a rental deal. You may not want a rental deal. You may want a flip. I may get a flip and you're looking for a rental, right? So again, that's why I'm always on the build your biggest buyers list possible, because you just never know who's going to be ready for a deal at the right time, right? When I was here, I used to send out a different kind of email. It was very, I like tell stories and hey, here's what I'm doing. I'm going on this vacation, whatever. Like, here's my funny English bulldog, Dudley. People love Dudley. He was a big hit in the emails. I would always post funny pictures. But anyways, I would send email. And all of a sudden I'd get a call from somebody who didn't pop up at my CRM or my phone as a buyer. And they're like, oh yeah, I want to see this house over on Rawling Street. I'm like, oh, cool, great. How did you see that? Oh, I've been getting your emails for years. I love them. A lot of great info. And I really like this property, right? So just having that engagement, and that's social media, right? It's just constant engagement and being in front of people, because you never know when that person's going to raise their hand and go, hey, I'm ready. I knew this settlement was coming in, and now I've got $100,000 and now I'm ready to buy, right? So I'm less worried about, is this person going to buy today? We want to talk to them if we can get them on the phone. We want to put them into our database. We want to engage with them. We want to add them to our Facebook page if we can. And if I have a deal for them that works, fantastic. I'm building that list as big as I can all the time.
So do you have a dedicated person that is always reaching out to these buyers or people that come into the new pipeline from buyers list and qualifying them? Do you have a dedicated person for that?
That's my dispo team's job, right? So the 3 girls that I've got running dispo right now, that on the phones, I've got a couple other people that do support. That is their job, is to talk to people. So when they get a little notification on I don't have my phone in here. When they get a little notification, buyer added or buyer sign up, I think it says, one of them will be like, whoever's not busy will jump on the phone with that person. If we get a notification that somebody clicked more information on a particular property, well, that goes to that person that's assigned to that deal. So that's how we're capturing all of those people. And the way that I realized how powerful that was is, if you guys want to see, we'll overload them, but go to ladyprinting.com. It's a postcard company out of Tampa. And the minute you sign up, within 10 minutes, I guarantee you're going to get a call from a 727 area code. They are the best I've ever seen it. Hey, David, I just saw you were on the website. Is there anything I can help you with? What are you looking for today? What kind of marketing can we help you with? I'm like, oh my God, right? And, I remember in my other life when I ran a mill shop, I had a couple vendors that would come in all the time. And, this one guy, can't remember his name. I think his name was Spanky. But anyways, like, I would never buy from this guy who was trying to sell. And we had this other pervert vendor. this guy came in every week, sat and talked, shot the bull, would, bring me whiskey or whatever. He was just a good guy doing follow up. Man, that one day that my other guy couldn't perform, damn, my boy Spanky had me, right? So there's value in that talking and creating a relationship.
There's always value in creating relationships or just even following that fast with people because they're going to really think that you really care about doing business with them and that your customer service and that your follow-up is so good that, hey, like it's worth doing business with this person because if that's the way that they operate, then that's the way that I'm going to be serviced, right? Like the way that, for example, all the transactional process is going to happen for them to receive what they want, which is a property that you already have under contract.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. And you should care about these people, right? I mean,
yeah.
I tell my team all the time, like Mrs. Smith, who's selling us her house, this is a big decision. Don't just slap a contract on her house if you don't think we can sell it. If the numbers don't make sense. The stuff come up, were there termites? I mean, there's always going to be some things, right? But these are real people that we get a little cavalier. We're on Facebook, we're posting pictures of cars, and, look at me. But like we're dealing with real people. So sellers, they're real people. When you contract their property, like they're expecting it to close and move on, right? Buyers, right? Like I've gotten onto a couple of my dispo people like, oh, it's a great deal. You should buy this. I'm like, yeah, just like settle down. Like they really got to wire $250,000. It's a great deal, but don't be like real smug about it. Like, yeah, you should buy this deal. You're stupid if you don't buy it. That's real money. I don't know too many people who've actually got $200,000 or $300,000, $400,000 to start wiring around, right? So respect those buyers, and we're here to serve them. And buyers have a pain point, just like your sellers do, right? Think about it. If you're a professional rehabber and you're going from one house to another, like when you get to the end, you got to get another house, right? So our job is we're here to serve you and provide a service. Same thing with a landlord. As a landlord who's got almost 100 properties, I can tell you, I'm always looking for more because I love that cash flow. So yeah, you gotta genuinely want to help people. And when you're talking to them and kind of pre-screening them, like be interested in what they're doing, right? Like when someone tells me I flipped 4 houses so far this year, or in December, whatever it was. Oh man, that's awesome. Like what level of rehab did you have to do? Oh, I'm in my computer. What's one of the addresses? I'd love to look it up and see the pictures and see what a good job you did. Right? Like we all want to talk about how awesome we are. Have conversation with people. Go past that first question of, are you buying right now?
Yeah. How fast are you currently selling your deals? Like the moment that you have someone under contract, how fast is it until like someone tells you, hey, I want to buy that?
Yeah, we're at like 12.5 days right now. Wednesday, we sold one in less than a day. 2 houses right next, actually, it was two properties right next door to each other in Tuscaloosa. And today we're selling one in Milwaukee. That actually took us almost 3.5 weeks because we had 2 weeks where we couldn't get into the property, right? So it's always going to vary. Every property is going to be a little different. So you can't be like, oh, this one sold in a day. Why didn't this one sell? Sometimes.
Did you have to extend the contract time with the seller?
Our contracts actually have a little extension built in. They have an extension built into it for up to 30 days if we need it to do paperwork. So I got tired of doing extensions a few years back, and I called my title company. I'm like, what can I do here? Can I do this? Oh yeah, I don't see why not. All right, cool. Let's do this.
So 30 days for the regular contract to close the deal.
We put 60 on ours.
Yeah. So 30 days for the regular, and then 30 days an extension. Basically, it's already in there in the contract. Basically,
it's our contracts say 60. We were at 30 for years and years and years, and I saw somebody roll through it with a contract to 60 days, and I'm like, wow, you think sellers go for that? Dude, I got 60 days. Nobody says anything because what we'll tell them is, hey, listen. So there's a lot of refis right now. Title companies are running really slow, especially with COVID too. Title searches are taking a long time, so we put 60 days on our contract because we want to close as fast as possible, of course. But I don't want you to ever get worried that, hey, paperwork isn't coming through or the lien release isn't coming through. I don't ever want you to worry that we're gonna take off on you. So we lock ourselves into your deal for 60 days. So I turn that around and show you how we're providing benefit there.
Love that. So right now, man, like inside your educational program where you or whenever you do master minds on dispositions and you bring people to your office, or even just your course, like what are you teaching? Like, what are the specific things that you will be teaching everyone?
So the most important thing, really, even the first module in our course, my team members when they come on is, and my girls make fun of me because I got this big whiteboard. I love whiteboards, and I draw this line, right, and a timeline with a hashtag at each end, and they make fun of me because I can never get the thing straight. But the overriding principle that I need everybody in my company, and if we're training your company, everybody's got to understand is we're starting with the end in mind. What's important? Why are we doing this? It's not to wear sweatshirts with logos on them or red shoelaces or any of that nonsense, right? We're here to cash checks. That's why we all exist, right? So, and again, yeah, that's dumb. We know that. Well, I can tell you, I've coached some really big teams where I've talked to their acquisitions people, and they don't understand the process of, yeah, we're here to cash checks and sell deals, right? So, who is it that buys those deals? Well, like buyers, right? Like you should be saying, well, buyers do, of course, right? Okay, cool. So, how is that buyer going to make money on that property, right? If your acquisitions team can't look at a deal and go, oh, here's how a buyer can make money on it, you shouldn't be putting it under contract, right? So what do buyers want? They want a functional property that they can make money on. So if you're running your comps and let's just say you've got a house in a subdivision that's 3 streets off of the main road, well, that's one number. If your house is on a 4-lane road with yellow lines down the middle, is it going to be worth as much? It's not. I'm telling you, it's not. You need to account for that and deduct for that. So we do all of our training with our people. We start with, what are we going to do with this property? What's our buyer going to do with it, right? Because something happens to this property after the day you wholesale it and you get paid, right? So can I tell a story to my buyers in my marketing of, here's what you can do with this property. Here's how you can make money, right? So at any rate, so that's where we start, right? And we've got complete modules built to that so that we can explain to your acquisitions team and your marketing team, like what type of deal should we even be marketing for? Because everything that you close, right? Where did that start? That started at the top of the funnel. If I'm looking for blue houses and only red houses are coming out the bottom, like I'm putting the wrong information in the top of the funnel. So understand what you're looking for, and make sure that your marketing is targeted towards that. Don't just target all of the United States. I'm gonna be extreme here, and then be like, well, shit, I hate deals in Anderson, Alabama with 300 people there. Well, quit marketing to those areas. Right? Let's sit down and let's fine tune what we're doing, right? So from there we go into how to choose markets, how to look at virtual markets, how to use some easy free resources, how do we go out there and determine what are the best markets to be in, right? And I'm not going to teach you how to run pay-per-click. Call my friend Corey or Nick Perry or Gene Blosky. Call one of those guys, right? So I'm not going to teach you how to text. There are a million videos on YouTube for Batch and for all those people that you can go learn how to text. But I'm going to teach you where you should be, what the philosophy is on picking that list for sellers and doing that marketing, and what's your seller avatar going to look like. From there, market it however you want, right? So some people are going to do pay-per-click, some people are going to do radio ads, some people are going to do SMS, like direct mail, whatever you're going to do. We just want you to understand what's going in the top of that funnel. Whatever your delivery mechanism is, that's fine, right? We're not going to get hung up on that. So, and then we go into talking to sellers, right? How to talk to sellers, how to get the contract signed, how to do some things and explain it to your seller. So because you're virtual, right? So you're going to be talking to somebody over the phone, and there are days I get pictures back and I have 2 monitors on my desk and I'm looking at the pictures and I flip over and I look at the description that the acquisitions manager had and I look back at the pictures and I'm like, is this the same house? Right? Is this the same place? So, so we've set some things up in our scripting for how we can go back and get reductions where we need to. And then it goes deep into dispositions, because you got to sell the deal. I mean, marketing is you getting out there and showing people what a great deal is. If the craziest thing in real estate, disposition. What drove me to even do a dispositions course is because I was running it in my company. I'm always doing research and trying to figure out what's the hottest new trend. And there's nothing out there for dispositions. There's no course. There's a course that's mainly talking about JVing, but it's not talking about selling deals. So it's always this like one chapter or blurb at the end of somebody's course. It's like, oh, if you get a good deal, it's going to sell. Well, a good deal sitting on my desk is not going to sell, right? I've still got to get it out there and do effective marketing. And yeah, right, maybe I can do one email and my awesome deal sells. But here's a trick, right? Like if you're a pro baseball player, do you get up to the plate every time and hit a grand slam? No, right? That's impossible, right? If that's the deal, that's a life you want, you're going to do 2 deals a year. There are going to be deals that aren't awesome. Not every deal is a unicorn. right? That's just the fact. Even in a crazy market like we're in now, they're not all awesome, right? Sometimes we think they are, and it turns out to be something a little different. But with good marketing, every deal will sell. You just have to get it out in front of the right buyer. So that's where we go back to our, we've got a 10-step plan on marketing that every single person follows. Now we've added in pre-launching, and then we've got some things that we've got documented for when a property won't sell. So anyways, it's just about having.
That's a really good way. That's a really good way to put it. If you have good marketing, then every deal will sell. You just have to be able to put in the work and put in the marketing to work, and make sure that you follow the steps like that checklist, the checklists and several variations of them to sell that property. Now, which markets do you recommend people if they were to go nationwide and that you have a decent time, you have a decent time dispositioning these properties, like it's not too tough? Which markets do you recommend people?
So pick something you like, right? So first, like you should know, like, hey, I want to be in, I want to say Phoenix, Charlotte, right? Like just pick something, like write down 10 markets that you think you'd like to be in. And I'm doing this afternoon after I get off of this. I've got a new student we're gonna go through, and he wants to be Columbus, Ohio, right? Okay, so great. So I've had him go through some steps. I want you to pull cash buyers in, just the number of cash sales, and sort it by zip code. Great. So now we're going to have a list. We've sorted that list from high to low. So now we're going to take
Where
the
is
top
he
half.
pulling the cash buyers?
We're pulling this from List Source. You can pull it out of List Source. There's some videos out there that show you how to pull. Max Maxwell has a great one. We've been doing that for years and years. So we'll just not even buying the list. We're just pulling the list by zip code of how many cash buyers are in a county. I don't know if you could do a whole state. You probably could. But anyways, we'll just take that list. It didn't cost us anything. We're just going to sort it from high to low, right? So depending upon your your marketing budget, right? Because we all start in different places. When I started, I had $0, right? It was everything I could do to stretch and go buy blank bandit signs and hand write them and go out and put them out, right? Because everything in life is time or money. You either got a lot of time or you've got a little bit of money. So what we're doing with him today is we're gonna sit down, we're gonna look at that list, and then we're gonna take that list, and then we're gonna go over and pull a list because he's gonna do texting, right? So we're gonna pull a list of sellers but we're only gonna pull those top zip codes. Like I'm not gonna pull the whole county, right? I want to niche it down as much as we can for him so that we're not wasting his marketing dollars, right? Because I don't want to waste mine, and I don't want any of my students to waste theirs. So anyways, we'll take that list. We'll probably jump into PropStream or Batch or something, and we'll start niching down the criteria there. So let's say for him, we'll start with vacants, right? Let's just start easy. If you're a new wholesaler, start vacants, right? The worst thing you can do is like be trying to go after REO properties that are going to be a big, it's going to be like jumping hurdles, doing handstands. So let's start with the easy stuff. Let's start with vacants, right? Because I want him to get some quick wins and cash some checks. So we'll start with vacant absentee owners in those zip codes, maybe 1,000 square foot, and let's see what we get. And then from there, maybe it's, because you can figure out what skip tracing is going to cost you and what your marketing dollars are, right? I know we don't have time to do all that, but then we'll start tweaking that list till we get it either small as we want or a little bit bigger, right? So maybe 1,000 square foot gives us 10,000 records and we want 15. Maybe we'll go down to, 900, or maybe we'll go back. We'll fool with length of ownership, right? Because it's, pulling a list is like an old school equalizer, right? You got all those levers you can kind of up and down and tweak it until you get just what you're looking for, right? So we're very intentional about what we're going to take for him as a list, put in the top of his funnel, skip trace it, text him, so that what comes out is at least what we're looking for. Make sense?
Yeah, makes total sense. So these are the steps that you make people to go through before they completely like choose a entire market or they completely go all into something.
I don't want anybody spinning the wheels.
That's right, man. What do you think are the biggest things that usually wholesalers struggle the most when they try to go nationwide? And they find themselves like, oh, I'm locking up this property and I'm not selling it, or what do you think are the biggest struggles?
Two things. They're in a market where there's not enough cash buyers, right? So again, I always beat on Anderson, Alabama, because I've been there and I use it in a lot of my presentations. I think there was 266 people in the town and we have one of them. So I'm trying to market to 265 people who already know what this house is and have seen it before. So you're not in the market with enough cash buyers, and then you're not understanding how to look at that data and see what those cash buyers are paying. So either you can do it through just pulling a cash buyers list, or you can do it through comps. So they don't understand. They're not presenting a deal that's desirable to their buyers, right? So they don't understand, like, what is a buyer going to do with this, right? And their marketing is generally horrible. I was on an investor lift, office hours yesterday, and just like this one guy's like, I don't understand why my house isn't selling. I'm like, well, throw it up on the screen here. Well, it's because your marketing's terrible. There's nobody that would click on that email to get any information about that, right? They're not providing enough info to the end buyer. I mean, think about your buyer, right? They're like you. They sit in front of their computer. They're just like, I get so many emails, I don't even read them. I've got to get a personal assistant. But like, you got like a couple seconds, pop open that email. Oh yeah, I'm going to click on this or I'm not, right? So you got to do good marketing. And then once you get them that far, like, you got to be able to tell them a story. Like, people are dopey, right? You got to tell them, like, hey, here's the information. Here's how you can make money. Here's what you should do next. Call me, or click the win it now button, or, make your offer online, right? So be in a place where there's buyers, because you've got to have people to buy your stuff, right? I would say for new people, stay away from the $800,000 houses, right? Whatever market you go into, figure out what the median house price is. Stay there, maybe a little bit below. Stay within 10 or 15% of that number of what you're going to, market it at, or for your ARV. And that's where you're going to have the most buyers.
Man, these are really, really valuable information and knowledge that you're dropping. I really would like to have you in a second episode. Maybe we can walk through like some actual systems that maybe you can show to us, or maybe you can even tell our listeners exactly like what are the things that they should be potentially building out and getting into, such as, for example, for you, game changing has been investor. Is that right? Investor has been one of the game-changing tech.
Yeah, Investor Lift. What's amazing about Investor Lift is, the software, right? They've just taken the software to a whole nother level, and it's geared just towards wholesalers. So it's built just for us. But again, Investor Lift is the greatest drill that you're ever going to go into Home Depot and buy. But if you don't take it out of the box and understand how to use it, how to bolt on the extra bits and the paddle bit and the drill bit and all those things, it's not going to do you any good. Like, just again, like the contract sitting on your desk, just having Investor Lift in my computer is not going to magically sell deals, right? And if I have a shitty deal and I put it in Investor Lift, it's still not going to sell because it's not a deal, right? So there's so much, that other stuff that comes in front of that. You really need to make sure that you're not wasting your time on bad deals, right? Now, are some going to slip through? Sure, right? We're going to put something under contract. It's happened to us. We send buyers over there and we talk to them about getting feedback. Like, they're selling crack on the corner out of the abandoned gas station. Well, listen, we didn't know that, right? Obviously, the seller didn't tell us that, and we didn't pick that up on Google Maps when we did the little 360 Street View. So there's always, I'm not saying any system is perfect, right? This is a little more art than science, but we want to try to knock out as much of the stuff as we can by having a good system. So I know we're running long and you want to keep it under an hour, but if you find me on Instagram, like, give me a friend request, because I'm trying to grow my list, so you all can help me with that. Send me a message. And I know we didn't talk about this, or you didn't ask me to do this, but I've got a document that is like the top 10 ways to sell any deal fast. I'll be happy to send that to you with even a little video that kind of talks about them. So I'd love to provide some value for everybody here. And these are the exact same things that we do in our business. So yeah, David Olds REI, go to Instagram, help me out, get me over 2,000. I've got girls in my office that have 10,000 people, and I'm struggling away. But shoot me a little message, give me a little like or follow or whatever it is that you young kids do on Instagram, and I'll shoot you that folder over with all that stuff.
So David Olds REI on Instagram.
Yeah, love to help you out. Give you all as much value as I can.
All right, so follow David Olds REI on Instagram. So that's at David Olds REI. Also, there's going to be a document here that is going to be attached to this podcast episode. David, is it going to be a Google Doc, or is it an actual? Is it a landing page URL?
No, it's just a Google Doc. It'll be a Google Doc. Yeah.
So we will actually put in a link here with the Google Doc, so that every single one that have listened to this can just download and take a look at that document that David has been sharing with us.
Yeah. And then if you download it, just I'd love it if you come over to Instagram and give me a little follow, because we're dropping stuff like this all the time over there.
Yeah, you got him. You listen to David Old, REI, and just go follow him on Instagram. Give him a shout out. If you like this episode, again, just share this with your colleagues, with everyone in your community. And I'd love to drop you more about nationwide dispositions and nationwide wholesaling in next episodes. David will potentially come in a second episode, and we will dive into some of the assets that he has built for this dispositions.
Yeah, we could do something very specific if you want on another episode. What you really niche down right on, maybe like just talking about pre-launching and how we do that, the whole philosophy behind that, and what that does for us. Or we can definitely talk about that, and I'd love to come on and do that.
All right, awesome. Thanks, man. I love having you here. Again, anyone that listened to this episode, share, subscribe into YouTube, and be able to just like the video if it's in YouTube, and also be able to download this episode into your phone using Spotify or Audible, anything, Amazon Music, Apple Music. We are everywhere in the podcast episodes, and we will make sure to bring you in more actionable tips and more actionable value that you can apply to your real estate investing and wholesaling business. All right. So thank you so much, you guys, for listening to this episode, and I'll see you into the next one. All right. Take care, guys. Bye-bye, David.
Bye-bye.
Every day I'm hustling.